set, hit.
Welcome to Out of Bounds, presented by Isaac's Roofing and Sheet Metal.
Welcome back to Out of Bounds. I'm Maria Montgomery along with Dan Reefer and Alex Walker. Saturday night was a downer across the Commonwealth with yet another crushing loss to Tennessee.
UK got out to such a great start. It was 13-0 in the first quarter. They never scored again.
And the stats were staggeringly one-sided in favor of Kentucky, right? But it all rested on one play after all.
Yeah, 4th and goal from the 2-yard line with just over a minute to go. Lynn Bowden on the option decides to keep it rather than pitch it, and he doesn't get in.
Even if Bowden pitches it there, hard to say if Chris Rodriguez gets in. Rodriguez had his shot when he got the ball on 3rd and goal from the 1, and he was stuffed for a 1-yard loss. But back to the call on 4th and goal.
And that takes us to the postgame comments sponsored by the Bob Allen Motor Mall.
You know, preferred to keep the timeout, but it was more based on the look we were getting defensively and whether we had a chance to get that ball to the perimeter. I thought Lynn made a really good play. I'll never argue with Lynn, you know, with the, taking it right there, and he stretched it to the perimeter. We'll probably look at it and feel like if he'd have pitched it, it would have been a foot race to the pylon and probably had a chance. But I'm not going to argue with that kid and the way he, has a chance to pull the ball down and try to drive it in there and get to 1 yard.
Just try to stretch it. They took my option read away. They attacked it, and I tried to turn the corner and get in.
Are there throws there that you could be making or wish you were making, or is it play calling, or what's kind of?
I don't point fingers. So if y'all got questions like that, I'm gonna get it out there right now. I don't do it. So stop asking.
Yikes. All right, y'all. Are you mad about that call on 4th?
I'm not as mad as Lynn Bowden was at that reporter.
He was a little salty.
No, I can't be mad because the coaches, they can read that defense better than we can. I mean, they know what's going to give them the best chance, but you did have it. 1st and goal from the 6, 2nd and goal from the 4, 3rd and goal from the 1, 4th and goal from the 2.
In hindsight, maybe Eddie Gran calls a play-action bootleg pass to a tight end, but he drove the ball all night by running the football.
Yeah, that was the game plan, which worked for the most part. I mean, Kentucky had the ball for nearly 42 of the 60 minutes in this game. The Cats rushed for 302 yards and held Tennessee to only 83.
The problem was all but 2 of those UK drives stalled. UK had the ball in Tennessee territory on 5 different drives from the 2nd quarter on and got no points out of those possessions.
Bottom line is we're trying to win games. You know that. That's all I'm interested in, is trying to win games. It didn't come through. A lot of it had to do with us losing 50-50 balls too. We played pretty solid. When you run 71 plays compared to 45 and rush for 300 yards, it's generally you like your chances. Came up a yard short.
Stoops alluding to those 50-50 balls. Of course, he's talking about those passes that Tennessee's big receivers came down with time and again. If the Cats' defensive backs can break up just a couple of those, maybe it's a different outcome. Stoops certainly feels that way.
Well, what about if the Cats had gone to quarterback Sawyer Smith and had tried to throw the ball some? Many fans are wondering about that.
Yeah, and Stoops was asked after the game if Smith was actually available.
Yeah, he was. He was available. We always think about it, or discuss it, but we're riding with Lynn. And
well, regardless, Lynn Bowden at quarterback was good enough to get the Cats within 1 yard of taking the lead with a little over a minute to go in the game. But is it time to bring Sawyer Smith back?
I just wonder about the coach's confidence in Smith now. There's a difference between being available to play and then actually starting and finishing a game. Is he really healthy enough to do that? My guess is no.
It's definitely harder to win the way UK is playing with Bowden because it makes them one-dimensional. There's no real threat of a passing game at all. Just listen to Stoops talk about that here. And consider this. Is Stoops choosing to go with Bowden over Smith? Or is it more of a necessity because Smith is still not an option due to his injuries?
We're not built right now. To get in a great 2-minute situation and throw the ball over the yard, So you saw the Missouri game, right? Yeah, so just had to pick our spots and, try the best we can. We're not built, we're not overly explosive right now. We're pretty one-dimensional. I think everybody knows that, and we're trying the best we can, certain situations at games is a weakness for us, not so much a strength. So you got to make sure you play to your strengths and give yourself an opportunity to win the game. You got to get the confidence back in the kicking game where we can make some long field goals and have an opportunity to win that way too. So that's not helping us.
Well, coming up next on Out of Bounds, the good things Kentucky did against Tennessee. And some frustrated fans are ready to move on from the Stoops era. We'll discuss why that's not wise. Welcome back to Out of Bounds. And as heartbreaking as that loss was to Tennessee, there were plenty of positives for the Wildcats to take away from this game. That takes us to our top plays presented by Kentucky Greenleaf.
We start with how UK started. A 17-play, 75-yard drive that ate up 10 minutes and 18 seconds off the clock. It's the most plays and time of possession on a scoring drive in the Mark Stoops era.
Kentucky converted on 3 third downs and a 4th down during that drive, which included 15 run plays and just 2 passes.
And once again, Lynn Bowden was impressive. He had another big day running the ball and gave UK a chance to actually win.
Yeah, Bowden went over 100 yards rushing for the 3rd time in his 4th start at quarterback there. And remember, he had 99 yards rushing against Georgia, so he winds up with 114 yards on 26 carries against Tennessee.
And get this, Bowden's 613 yards on the ground over these last 4 games is the best by a Wildcat in a 4-game stretch since Mo Williams in 1995, when he had 715 rushing yards in UK's final 4 games of that season.
There was one special teams play that cost the Cats. If not for that missed extra point, UK could have tried a field goal to tie the game late rather than go for it on 4th down.
Yeah, but there was a positive play on special teams that helped the Cats take control of the game early. Josh Paschal with the blocked punt gives UK great field position, and then it leads to Cavassier Smoke's touchdown run to make it 13-0.
Do you know when UK last blocked a punt and who had it?
Why don't you tell us, Alex?
2017 against Eastern Michigan, and guess what? It was Josh Paschal.
Of course.
Yep.
Well, the defense played well for most of the games. Things changed when Tennessee turned to Jarrett Garantano, tomato.
Tough name.
When they switched to that guy at quarterback, but as a whole, solid defensive effort.
Yeah, Kentucky limited Tennessee to 296 total yards and has now held 4 straight SEC opponents to 305 yards or less for the first time since 1979.
The Cats have also allowed 34 points or less in 23 consecutive games, which is the longest active streak in the country, and the longest for Kentucky since doing it in 45 straight games between 1976 and 1980.
Here's one more impressive number. Kentucky has given up a grand total of 3 points in the first half over these last 3 games combined. The Cats haven't done that against SEC competition over a 3-game stretch since 1988. So we're talking about a 1979, 76 to 80, 1988, a lot of long time since.
Absolutely.
Long time. All right, well, that's just a few reasons to be encouraged about this team, although there are many fans who are definitely discouraged right now.
Yep. And I get that. I mean, especially after letting another one slip away against Tennessee. Mark Stoops has, well, he's had headaches trying to hold leads against Tennessee and Florida. He has 1 win against each of them, but I mean, he's been in position to win several more, and instead, inexplicable moments happen to lose these games.
There is a reason, though, Mark Stoops' name is being mentioned as one of the top candidates for the opening at Florida State. You look at the players he's brought to Kentucky. Right there, Josh Allen, the National Defensive Player of the Year a season ago. He was back for the game last night. And how about Benny Snell, the school's all-time leading rusher? Kentucky has never recruited as well as it has under Stoops.
Absolutely.
And then you take Lynn Bowden. Where would this team be without him this season? I mean, it's actually pretty remarkable that the Cats are still in bowl contention after losing the starting quarterback and backup, and then have gone 2-2 with an offense that has almost no passing game. You listen to Lynn Bowden right here, and you tell me UK isn't getting to a bowl game this season.
I was a little emotional in the locker room. Quarterback, so I got to lead these guys, and I'm never going to drop my head. You know, I walk through the fans with my head down. You know, I just want to apologize to them. You know, I still should have interacted. So things like this could make or break a team. You know, and I think it's going to make us.
Oh, goodness. Well, those are the kind of players you definitely want to have in times like these, and UK has had more of them under Mark Stoops.
And that 10-win season, the first since 1977, it's not going to be another 41 years before we see another one of those. Not as long as Stoops is around here.
Stoops even brought it up Monday that looking to next season, the experience and personnel Kentucky will have next year reminds him a lot of what he had going into last season. So we'll see what happens.
10 wins next year then, right?
There we go.
Let's hope.
Nothing less. And if that doesn't make you feel better about the football Cats, don't worry. We have some UK basketball on the way. But next, we're sticking with the pigskin for our takeaways from the weekend. Welcome back to Out of Bounds, and we begin in the Big Ten with a game that was pretty important to you, Alex.
Yeah, I'm a Penn State alum, in case anyone didn't know. Grew up going to the games with my family. My little brother is a freshman there. My sister went there. My twin brother went there. And little bro's in the blue band, which is pretty cool.
So the blue band, that's the marching band, I guess?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a drummer.
Well, you had to be happy when the college football playoff rankings put Penn State at number 4 this week, but it was short-lived, my man. The Nittany Lions suffered their first loss of the season at Minnesota Saturday. Gophers QB Tanner Morgan, who went to Ryle High School right here in Kentucky. He completed 18 of 20 passes for 339 and 3 TDs in a 31-26 win to get the Gophers to 9-0 for the first time since 1904.
What a year.
But to bring you some joy in this tough time, Alex, we flash back to when Joe Paterno celebrated his 400th win at Penn State. It was 9 years ago. You might recognize one of the anchors on this story right here.
Welcome to your PSN TV Penn State football postgame report. I'm Alex Gilliland alongside Aaron Ryan. The milestone has been reached. Legendary coach Joe Paterno reached his 400th victory Saturday afternoon with a 35-21 victory over the Northwestern Wildcats.
That was rough. That was so
All right,
bad.
explain yourself, Alex.
Was that a perm or is that natural?
Oh, that was natural, man. Yeah, the fro, the milk chocolate dress shirt. Hopefully that's in the trash somewhere.
Top
But
of the
yeah,
line.
different name, different time. Looked like it was like 1980, but it was 2010, I promise.
Yeah, it did not look like 2010. It looked like it.
Not bringing the fro back. People have suggested that.
I think we should have a poll on that.
Keep it.
We should totally have a poll on this. Should he bring the fro back or should we not?
He could be an extra on
Y'all
Welcome
can let
Back
us know.
Cotter.
We'll see. Well, look, the biggest game of the day outside of Penn State, Minnesota was LSU, Alabama. And the Tigers ended an 8-year losing streak to the Tide. Go Tigers. Also handing Bama its first home loss since 2015. Ed Orgeron had a locker room moment, by the way, that was caught on camera. Look it up on Twitter. It got out on social media that we'd love to show you, but it's rated R, very much so.
Yes, it is. Hey, what about Appalachian State? Beat North Carolina back in September. Maria, here they are knocking off South Carolina Saturday. The Gamecocks have to beat Texas A&M on the road and Clemson to make a bowl game. That didn't happen. No.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, and that wasn't the only black eye for the SEC Saturday. Arkansas didn't just lose at home to Western Kentucky. The Hogs got roasted by the Toppers 45-19. And to make it worse, Arkansas native and former Razorbacks quarterback Ty Story starred for the Toppers, throwing for 213 yards and a touchdown against his home state school. Also worth noting, former Bryan Station standout Devin Key had a pick-6 for WKU in this game.
Yeah, he sure did.
All right, well, now let's get back to UK and the bowl situation facing the Cats.
Well, they must win 2 of these final 3 games to become bowl eligible. One of those games is against UT Martin. That's 5.
Yeah.
Hey, they're pretty tough.
Yeah.
No, we'll see. And that makes next Saturday's game at Vanderbilt that much bigger because you don't want to still be sitting on 5 going into that all-so-important Louisville game. And there is good news if you believe what Vegas believes. Kentucky has opened as an 8.5-point favorite against the Commodores. Vandy showed signs of life after beating Missouri, but has since scored a total of 7 points over its last 2 games. The Doors got slammed by Florida Saturday, 56-0. And here's, by the way, Florida State's other team, Miami, right here.
Yeah, we're looking at Louisville-Miami highlights right here because Louisville didn't look a whole lot better than Vanderbilt. The Cardinals got blown away by the Hurricanes in Miami, 52-27. U of L now a 5-4 team with games remaining at NC State, back home against Syracuse, then against Kentucky and Kroger Field. Imagine if both teams are 5-6 going into that game. I don't want to think about that. Do you?
That'll be a stressful situation in the Commonwealth, that's for
Makes me
sure.
nervous. All right, well, coming up next on Out of Bounds, it's Twitter fire, but it's brief because we got to spend some time talking about the basketball Cats, which we will do next. Welcome Welcome back to Out of Bounds. We're about to dig into some UK basketball and the soon-to-be #1 ranked Wildcats. But first, it's Twitter Fire, brought to you by C2G Environmental.
This is what the Tennessee football account tweeted right after the game last night. Brought it.
Ew.
Which, if you know UK at all, football, the slogan is bring it. So,
Yikes.
I hate Tennessee.
Yeah.
I hate Tennessee, man.
Yeah, that wasn't. That
Man,
wasn't
I hate
cool.
Tennessee.
Well, at least we
Big
have.
Orange sucks.
It does, but
Tell me how you really feel.
at least we have a basketball team to talk about that has looked amazing to start the season.
Yes, they have. What a week. Beat top-ranked Michigan State Tuesday, then come back and win by 42 over EKU on Friday.
And the story of that Michigan State game was Tyrese Maxey, but against the Colonels, it was Nick Richards. 21 points on 10 of 11 shooting to go with 10 rebounds and 4 block shots for the Wildcats 7-foot junior.
Now, you might say, yeah, it's against EKU. That's what I would expect. Richards has only had one other game like this in his entire UK career. His only other 20-point game and his only other double-double was in the same game, his freshman season back in 2017 against Fort Wayne. So, I mean, this is kind of big.
Nick, so much better than a year ago. Then you say, well, you must be really pumping him up, saying great things. No, he's in the greatest shape he's ever been in, and he's built his own confidence now. It doesn't matter what I say now.
Well, the great thing about Nick Richards is that he should be able to keep building his confidence with Kentucky's upcoming schedule.
No doubt about it, the Cats welcome back Walter McCarty Tuesday with Evansville, and then it's Utah Valley, Mount St. Mary's, Lamar, UAB, Fairleigh Dickinson, before getting to Georgia Tech, Utah, Ohio State, and Louisville.
Bunch of big-time programs there in the non-con slate. Well, let's talk about Tyrese Maxey for a second. Maxey took over the game late against Michigan State, but he didn't even attempt a shot in the first half against EKU. His final numbers were pedestrian. 2 of 6 shooting, 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists to 4 turnovers.
After that game against Sparty, you thought maybe he'd be in the starting 5 Friday, but nope. He came off the bench again, and his attitude about it couldn't be any more pleasing to Coach Cal.
He's the greatest. He just said, I trust you. Believe me, by the end of the year, what you saw in New York will be even another level. What you saw, because he can make all those plays. But this is a game where we needed to have 7 guys with 9 points. We needed to have that. And he accepted it. How about that?
All right, well, coming up next, we have more from Coach Cal. One of his postgame comments was comical enough to make our Coach's Corner. You're going to see it next. Now, we close the show tonight with a funny comment from John Calipari following the EKU game. Now, listen closely at the beginning of this, and you'll hear a squeaking sound. It's our Coach's Corner, brought to you by West Shore Homes.
Who's doing that, squeaking? Do you know it was smelled in this place today? Did you guys, it smelled in the locker room.
Just back by you.
No, it smelled in everything. It was in our locker room. How'd it get in there? We're self-contained. You got squirrels up in there or something. I don't know what it is.
I mean, here's the thing is I've been hearing that squeaking that he just now heard for like at least 2 years.
Oh,
Since
really?
they moved in that area, I'm like, this is so horrible, UK. Why do you have squeaking noise in
it's
John
the
Calipari's
elevator.
press conference?
I think it's the elevator that's right beside it. But I did smell the same thing on Friday. It was bad.
There's,
So
a
is it the
family, there's a family
construction?
of squirrels just
I
hanging
don't
out.
know. It was weird. It was like waves of it. But
Did it smell like sewage? Did they hit a sewage
yeah,
line?
kind of.
Yeah?
Kind of. It was weird. All right.
Probably
Well,
EKU stinking up the joint.
Don't hate on AW
all
now.
right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see y'all next week.